Well, welcome back to another coffee and a chat, and yet another middle of the night edition. So, continuing on from yesterday, I just kind of want to share with you what has happened. Before I do that, I'm going to tell a story. I don't think I've ever told this story before. I maybe have. But it's back when I was a very small child. I hadn't even gone to kindergarten yet. And one summer, my mother decided that my brothers and I should go to the city pool and we should take swimming lessons because we lived in a little tiny town, and that was one of the things they offered every summer was swimming lessons so that the children would be safe around the water. And so my mother put us in this class. Now, the first day we went, each one of us had our own personal swimming teacher. Okay, and there were other kids there from town. I don't know how many, but there were quite a few, and a handful of moms sitting up in the bleachers watching us. And so there was, I think it was a girl that was my swim coach. And so the first day, she took me from my mama and she goes, okay, we're going to go get in the pool, and, and it's going to be cold at first, but, you'll adjust, and then it's just we're going to have so much fun playing in the water. And so she took me down, the little steps, and we got in the pool, and she was holding on to me, and she was like, okay, now, we're going to put our head under the water and blow bubbles. And so we did that. And then we had these foam boards that you would hang on to, and you'd kick, and it would keep you afloat, and you'd float around. And then she was teaching me how to float on my back, and I was all by myself in the pool, and without her holding on to me. And I was just having so much fun, and I so enjoyed it. And my brothers were all doing fine. My older brother he's quite a few years older than me, and he had taken swimming lessons before. And so I remember seeing him down at the deep end, and they were having him jump into the pool, and he'd just kind of dog paddle back to the side. And my little brother that was 18 months younger than me, was more of a baby in the pool and than even what I was. And, and I remember seeing, the gal that had him and was holding him and playing with him and doing a lot of the same things that that my teacher had done. And I just, was enjoying the day and watching my brothers and blowing bubbles in the pool and learning to float on my back and not worrying about the water in my ears and all the things that were going on. And seeing my mother up in the stands, relaxed, enjoying talking with the other moms, watching us, but not worried or anything. And just, it was just a good day. And so when our swimming lesson was over, the teachers were telling us, we'll see you again tomorrow. And so, I was just excited about it. And as we walked home, my mom was talking to us about things, and we were telling her all about, what we did and how much fun we had. And she was just so proud of all three of us. And it was just such a wonderful day. And so she had told us that, and we're going to come back tomorrow, and it's going to be so fun. Well, the next day we got up and we got ready and we went to the pool. And we went and met with our teachers, and my older brother went and jumped in the pool and started his lesson, and my little brother went and got in the pool with his teacher and started his lesson. And I froze. I was terrified to get in that water. And the girl, she kept trying to coax me, and she kind of got me in at one point, but then I ran right back out, and I was crying, and my mom did not look so relaxed in the stands, and she had to come down and get me, and they said we can't do anything with her today. And I don't even remember if I did any more swim lessons that summer. I think I did. I think the next day when we went, I did a little better, and they finally got me in the pool. But that second day, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. And I was so afraid and so overwhelmed. And So I ended up spending the whole time sitting in the stands with my mom. She didn't look so happy. She didn't look so proud or like this was such a great day. And I'm sure that that evening that my mom and dad both were really talking to me about it and what was wrong and everything. But I remember that day sitting in the stands and, while my brothers were having fun and doing their lessons, and my mom was kind of trying to chat with some of the other moms up there, but keeping an eye on me and just not really looking happy. And it probably was more concerned, like, why were you okay yesterday and today you're not? And I thought about that. And I thought about how the first day, it wasn't that hard. I mean, there was the adjusting to the cold water and all, but I adjusted and I had enjoyed myself. But the second day, why was that a problem? Hang on a minute. I've got to close the door of the air conditioner. Okay, hopefully that'll be better. Okay, so the second day was just not happening, and I was terrified and I couldn't do it. And why was that? And this was the beginning of a pattern that I would see in my life, right up to today. The first time of doing something new or whatever, I can do it. It's not usually that big of a deal. But that's not the big challenge. It's always the second time that I have to attempt it seems to be the battle. And I've gotten to where I'm like, if I can just get through the second time, I'll get to the third and I'll be okay. And so this is just kind of who I am. And I don't know why. It might be something God put in me to teach me and help me grow. Could be. So, yesterday, if you didn't see yesterday's video, go back and watch it. And it kind of explains why I'm up in the middle of the night and how this is me trying to obey God and do what He's asked me to do. So this morning, I went to sleep, and as I laid down in bed last night, I was talking to the Lord. I was so relaxed and so comfortable. I deal with a lot of pain in my body, and so I'm constantly trying to work around it or work with it or whatever, survive it. But last night when I lay down, I didn't feel any pain. I just felt good and relaxed and comfortable. I mean, it really stood out to me, and I was like, wow, Lord, this is amazing. Thank you. Thank you for this. Like, I didn't even know how much I needed this until you gave it to me. So it was like a really powerful thing for me, and I drifted off to sleep, and I slept, and nothing woke me up until 2:03 this morning. I woke up. I needed to go to the little girl's room, or the big girl's room, or whatever. And so I got up, and then I was like, okay, it's not 3 yet. This is about what time I woke up yesterday, but it was, because there was a dog having some issues, and I'd had to get up with the dog. And so, are you going to wake me up at 3? And if so, what am I supposed to talk about? And so I just kind of started thinking about this thing that I had watched, a little video the other day of this girl, and she was talking about, where did the other people come from when Adam and Eve, when their kids, there were when Cain killed Abel, and then Cain had to flee, and and Cain had a couple of wives, I think, and he went to this town or he went to that, and he was so worried, people were going to come after him and kill him, and God marked him, and so she's like, where do these people come from? And so she starts giving her theory and all, which is not what we're talking about today, but it's something that's really interesting to think about, and so I just kind of was thinking about that, and like thinking about all these different possibilities of what God might have done, and all the different things I've been taught over the years, and so I just so I went back to bed, and I kind of was thinking about that, and I just had a couple of thoughts on it, and then I was like, I need to go to sleep. And we'll see if God wakes me up at 3. And so we have one of those clocks that projects the time and the temperature and all of that on the ceiling at night. So so I can just look straight up and see what time it is. And it was 3:17. More than an hour had passed in just a couple of thoughts. And I was pretty sure I hadn't fallen asleep. If I had, I hadn't dreamed. I mean, it was odd. And I'm like, okay, so, so my first thought is, how did that happen? Did you transport me in time? Because there's different things, and I thought about even sharing one of those where the disciples were in a boat, and Jesus walks out to them and gets in the boat with them, and this isn't the time that Peter walks on the water, but or I don't believe it is. In the book of John, it doesn't talk about Peter walking on the water at all, but when Jesus got into the boat, they were instantly at their destination, and he had basically transported them through time and space to where they were going, and which, again, I find very, very interesting. And I was like, and I had just read that a couple of days before, and I was like, did you just transport me in time? Like, now it's 3:17. More than an hour has passed. It's after 3. It's not like you woke me up, like at 3:01 or something. It's not like quite like yesterday. And I don't know, do I even have to do this? I mean, I'm really tired. It's hard to pop my eyes open just to see what time it is. And it's well after 3. Maybe I don't have to do this now. Maybe it's okay. And I started to question things, and I sure would like to sleep. Would it be okay if I just slept? And then I'm like, the second time. That's where the real struggle is. And I was really struggling with it. And I knew where this was going to go, and I didn't like it. So I'm like, I've got to overcome this. This is where I thought yesterday was hard. I thought yesterday was the challenge. No, today is the real challenge. This is the real hard thing. I've got to overcome it. And then there's this whole where I feel like you transported me through time. Like, why would you do that? And instantly I felt it in my spirit, because time is accelerating. I'm not the only one that's felt that way. I've listened to a lot of people share about that and how they see time moving. In fact, the last time I mentioned that in a video, people left it in the comments, and or at least one person did, that time is accelerating. And I was like, and I said that I want to be able to share with as many people as I possibly can, and encourage as many people as I possibly can, that I want, if my life is going to count for anything, I want it to count for making a difference for the kingdom of God. So if that's true, then even though I can't even pop my eyes open, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this. I don't even know, Lord, what it is you want me to talk about, but I'm going to trust you for that. I got to do this. I mean, I could go back to sleep. I could do the easy thing here. But then I wouldn't be showing that this really does matter to me. It wouldn't be mattering to me. If I can go back to sleep and ignore this, then I don't really care like I say I do. But I do care. Okay, I'm getting up. And I started the process of getting up and pulling myself together. And I took a moment to rebrush my hair. Oh, and I was like, Lord, now what do I talk about? And I had thought too, one of the scriptures that I had read here a couple days ago was Jesus. He had been teaching, and there were lots of people that followed him that were his disciples, and a disciple simply is a student. Okay, so there were lots of people that were following him, wanting to learn from him and everything. But then, a lot of them came to see the show and the miracles, and then when he didn't do a bunch of miracles, those people fell away. And then when they got to the synagogue and he began to talk about being the bread of life, and the religious leaders got upset and wanted to kill him, and all these things happened, then just about everybody else left too, and the only ones that were still with him were the 12. And Jesus said, do you want to go too? I mean, it's getting hard, and it's going to get harder. The cost is going to go up. Do you want out? And they're like, no, we're with you all the way to the end. We're with you. And so he tells them that the true disciples of his, the ones that really love him, they'll follow his commands. They'll do what he says. And I thought, yeah, this is a good thing that I'm getting up, because I really do love him. And if I really do love him, I will do what he's called me to do, what he tells me to do. So even though it would be much more pleasant and much easier to stay in the bed, it's good that I got up. And so I came out, I read my Bible, like, what am I supposed to talk about? And even then, I knew it's what's happening right now. It's part 2 of yesterday. It's overcoming that difficulty. It's not just doing what brings pleasure to me, like the ones that just wanted to watch the show and the miracles. I'm not that disciple. I'm not the one that needs to be entertained and have good things given to me and make my life easy. I'm not there for him to break the bread and feed 5,000 with a little boy's lunch. I mean, that is amazing, and I want to witness all these amazing things with him, but that's not why I'm with him. It's not for that. So God does not have to perform to keep my heart. He does not have to give me gifts to keep my heart. So even when times get hard, you see, he doesn't have to make it easy for me to keep my heart. I'm with him all the way to the end, and then into eternity. So I got up. Yep, I did. I overcame the hardship of the second day. The second time, I overcame that. And I'm here. And I'm telling you that the second time is my hard time. What's yours? What is it that is your hurdle that you have to get over? Because I'm sure you've got one. And when you're faced with that, I mean, it is more challenging to do what you know the Lord wants you to do. It is more challenging to be faithful to the call of Christ. overcome whatever your hurdle is. Fly over that thing with grace. I used to, when I ran track back in junior high, I was a hurdler. That was one of the things that our coach said I had good form. I handled it well, and he wanted me to run hurdles, and so I did. And and you had to make sure you had everything up high enough to clear that hurdle, because when you didn't and you hit that, well, ours I think had like these cinder things on it. It would cut you up like glass. It was terrible. I was always envious of the ones that had the almost like a rubber type track that they ran on, but it was a great motivator for me to keep my legs up and out of the way and my toes out of the way. My toes were always that if I did hit a hurdle, it was because a toe didn't clear it. And I learned to clear those hurdles, and I did well with it. That was my shining star, was being able to do the hurdles. I guess I cleared a hurdle today. And I believe that the more that when we face those difficult things and we're found faithful in it and we overcome, it gets a little better next time, and a little better until that's not really the issue anymore, because we've overcome it. So, becoming an overcomer. You see, I know there's a lot of people that don't like when I say this, and yet there's others that are in total agreement because they know it's true too. It's going to get rougher. And being a Christian, being a follower of Christ, is going to come at a higher cost. God tells us about it in His Word. Many will be put to death for their faith. Even now, all through time since Christ was here, people have been being put to death for their faith in Him. Is that the clincher that's just too hard and you just can't follow Him that way? I'll tell you, if you can't follow Him unless He, is giving you wealth and prosperity, then you'll never make it when it's going to cost you your life, because that's being cushy. I just want all the good things, and there are people that are in their relationship with God based on that. It's not a real relationship. It's like the guy that marries the girl because she's so gorgeous, and then as time begins to take its toll and the hairs begin to turn gray, she can cover them up with some hair dye, and then the wrinkles start setting in, and she can go get some injections or facelift, and she's having to jump through these hoops to keep looking this certain way so he doesn't get rid of her. And eventually a day comes when you can't fight it anymore, and he looks at her and goes, "Now I'm out. Go find me a new young one." See, he never loved you. One of my grandchildren has been talking about, somebody that they have an interest in, and they're hoping that person has an interest in them, and so then they're talking about all the things, so that they'll look the way that person wants them to look, or they'll have the money that person wants them to have, or the this or that, and I'm like, if you have to have money or look a certain way or have certain possessions for that person to love you, then they don't love you, and they probably never will. That's not the right person. It's the person that accepts you just the way you are and embraces the changes of time that naturally occur in all of us. You see, when you love the inner person, then the outer shell doesn't carry that weight of whether or not you're committed to them. And that's the way it needs to be with Christ. If we've got all these hoops that we want Him to jump through, He's not going to do it, guys. He doesn't perform to get our love. We either are going to love him no matter what, or we don't love him at all. There's some things to think about this morning. A lot of things to think about. I'm glad I got up. I'm glad I'm not laying in that bed sleeping. I could have. It was my choice. I could have. But that's not who I want to be. I want to be faithful and true. I want to be obedient, and I want to put a smile on God's face. I want him to look down at me with that. I'm proud of you, Angie. You did good. Like the first day of swimming lessons that my mom looked at me. I don't want it to be like the second day of the, okay, don't know what we're going to do now. And yeah, overcoming the second day. That's my hurdle. What's yours? Whatever it is, when it's challenged, I encourage you to overcome it. It's amazing. It's better than not overcoming it. Being up right now, talking to you, is so much better and so much more fulfilling than if I had just gone back to sleep like I wanted to. All right. I love you. I really do. I love you because Jesus loves you. And he does. Whoever you are, he knows you. He calls you by name. You matter to him. He loves you. Even when you've been angry and thought, God doesn't care about me. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And even though there's things that go on in our lives that we don't understand and we don't think are good, there's a reason. And it is for your good. It is for my good. You can trust him. All right. So with that, maybe I'll see you again in the middle of the night tomorrow night. And maybe we'll talk during the day. Whatever. When the Lord calls me to it, I want to be found faithful. All right. I love you. I will talk to you again probably pretty soon.